there'd be nothing left. So what we'll do
We're gonna
is
throw it on the low board, or we're just gonna drive it out.
two of them, 250 and then 2600, hook them up, haul them in.
He's the heart of the Yukon, the man who turned mud into millions and built an empire with nothing but his bare hands. For years, Tony Beets, the legendary Viking of Gold Rush, seemed unstoppable. But recently, fans began to notice something different, something worrying. Whispers spread across the mining world. Was the unbreakable Tony finally slowing down? And now, after weeks of silence, he's finally spoken, confirming the heartbreaking truth we all feared. What really happened to the king of the Klondike? Stay tuned, because this changes everything. Tony Beets wasn't born into fame or fortune. He was born on December 15, 1959, in a small farming village called Weidenes, nestled in the Netherlands. It was a quiet town where the rhythm of life was simple but demanding. The land had to be worked, animals cared for, and days began before sunrise. Every morning, Tony learned what it meant to earn your keep through sweat and persistence. Growing up in that world shaped his spirit. There was no room for laziness or excuses. When Tony's father fell ill, he was still a teenager, but he stepped up and took responsibility for the family farm. Those long days built the strength and discipline that would one day define him. But deep down, Tony wanted more. The fields of Holland taught him how to work hard, but they also showed him how limited life could be if he never took a risk. He realized that if he stayed in Weidenes, his future would mirror that of his parents. Steady, but predictable. That thought lit a fire inside him. He wanted adventure, he wanted freedom, and he wanted a chance to build something greater. In his early 20s, with little more than determination in his pocket, Tony Beets made a decision that changed his life forever. He left the Netherlands behind and headed to Canada. It was a bold move for a young man with no connections, no wealth, and no certainty of what awaited him. But he believed that the true measure of a man was what he could build with his own two hands. Arriving in Canada was like stepping into another world. The winters were harsh, the people spoke a language he barely understood, and life was anything but easy. But Tony had grown up in hardship, and hardship, he knew, could be tamed. He worked wherever he could find labor, in construction, on farms, handling machinery, taking jobs no one else wanted. These were the years that tested his will. Slowly, he learned the new ways of this vast country and began to hear stories that captured his imagination. Stories of the Yukon, a place where the earth hid gold and where the brave went to change their fate. For many, the Yukon was a land of broken dreams. The cold was cruel, the isolation unbearable, and the work backbreaking. But Tony saw opportunity where others saw defeat. He packed his tools and made the long journey north. Life there was brutal. Long days, little sleep, and the constant struggle to survive in the wild. But through it all, Tony's confidence grew. He worked under seasoned miners, learning every aspect of the trade, from handling heavy equipment to managing operations in the most remote and dangerous terrains on Earth. Years later, with enough experience and savings, Tony took the next great leap. He opened his own mining operation. It was a risk, but for the first time, he was his own boss. What followed was a rise that no one could have predicted. He built his business one shovelful at a time, building a reputation as a man who didn't just chase gold, he commanded it. His work ethic was legendary, his leadership absolute, and his results undeniable. Then came the opportunity that would introduce Tony Beets to the world. The Discovery, Channel's Gold Rush. The show opened a window into the lives of miners battling brutal odds in the unforgiving lands of the Yukon. But when Tony appeared in the second season, everything changed. He wasn't there to entertain. He was there to mine. His blunt honesty, fearless attitude, and unwavering focus made him stand out instantly. Fans were captivated by his raw strength and his refusal to sugarcoat reality. While others chased luck, Tony relied on skill, precision, and years of hard-earned experience. His defining moment came when he took on a challenge no one else dared. Reviving a massive, decades-old dredge left to rust in the wilderness. Many called it a lost cause, a fool's gamble. But Tony saw what others couldn't: potential. With his crew, he dismantled the enormous machine, transported it piece by piece across miles of rugged terrain, and rebuilt it from the ground up. It was a costly, grueling, and seemingly impossible task. But Tony never backed down. When the dredge roared to life, tearing through the earth and pulling up gold, it became a symbol of his vision, courage, and sheer determination. That moment solidified his place as the Viking of Gold Rush, a man who turned challenges into triumphs. But behind every ounce of gold stood his family. His wife, Minnie Beets, was the backbone of his empire, managing finances and operations with razor-sharp focus. Together with their children, Monica, Kevin, Mike, and Bianca, the Beets family built not just a business, but a legacy. From the rugged mines of the Klondike to the screens of millions, they proved that true wealth is forged in teamwork, resilience, and family unity. But in recent seasons, fans began to notice changes. The Tony Beets, who once roared across the mining site, now seemed quieter. He appeared less often on screen, and when he did, his movements seemed slower, his energy more contained. Observant viewers took to social media, platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit, wondering what was happening. Was Tony stepping back? Was he facing health issues? Or was he simply allowing his children to take the reins? Speculation spread quickly across the Gold Rush community. Some believed he was preparing for retirement. Others worried that something serious had happened behind the scenes. Even the smallest changes in his appearance, a bit of weight loss, a softer tone, fewer scenes at the heavy machines, sparked endless theories. Yet through it all, Tony remained silent. And for a man as straightforward as he was, that silence only deepened the mystery. Then, after weeks of growing rumors, Tony Beets finally spoke out. In his trademark direct style, he cut through the noise. Yes, he said, there had been changes. After decades of working under extreme conditions, the years were catching up to him. Mining in the Yukon is not for the faint of heart, and he was simply acknowledging what every man must face eventually: time. He explained that he was stepping back slightly, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. It was time, he said, to let his children take on more responsibility. He wasn't quitting, and he wasn't leaving Gold Rush. He was adapting, transitioning into a new phase of life and business, one that focused on guiding rather than grinding. His words calmed the storm of rumors and brought clarity to his loyal fans. He made it clear that the Beets family legacy was strong and would continue for generations, built on the same foundation that had carried him from a small Dutch farm to the icy rivers of the Yukon. The reaction was overwhelming. Fans, fellow miners, and colleagues flooded social media with messages of respect and gratitude. Relief filled the air. Not just that Tony was healthy, but that he was continuing his journey, this time as a mentor and patriarch. People celebrated his achievements, remembering the unforgettable moments he gave to Gold Rush. From reviving the old dredge to building a family empire that stood the test of time. Over the years, Tony Beets has become more than a character on television. He's become a symbol of perseverance and authenticity. He's shown the world that success isn't about luck or shortcuts. It's about consistency, resilience, and family. From the farms of Videns to the frozen fields of the Yukon, his story stands as proof that the hardest roads often lead to the richest rewards. He once said, "The gold's not the reward, the work is." And perhaps that's the greatest lesson he's ever shared. The real treasure isn't in what you pull from the ground. It's in the people who stand beside you, the legacy you build, and the strength you show when no one's watching. Today, as his children carry on the Beets mining legacy, Tony's presence still echoes through every engine, every sluice box, and every grain of dust that catches the light. He may not be the one behind the wheel every day anymore, but his spirit drives the entire operation. Fierce, unyielding, and true. And that's the incredible story of Tony Beets, the Viking of Gold Rush. A man who proved that true fortune is built through grit, heart, and family. His legacy reminds us all that success isn't found, it's earned. What do you think about Tony's journey from the farms of Holland to the frozen gold fields of the Yukon? Let us know in the comments below. And if you were inspired by this story, Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because legends like Tony Beets remind us that the real gold is in never giving up. Thanks for watching.